I turn the music up, I got my records on. I shut the world outside until the lights come on. Maybe the streets are alive, maybe the trees.
Region 3, also known as Central Luzon, the region that embraces the largest plains in the Philippine archipelago, producing most of the country's rice supply, and now nicknamed as the Rice Bowl of the Philippines. Its provinces are Tarlac, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Bataan, Pampanga, Aurora, and Zambales, with Nueva Ecija being the central producer of rice in the country. At the heart of this region of agriculture lies a group of people who holds the great responsibility in providing food for 94 million stomachs in which they are not being compensated. These are the farmers who are struggling every day under the scorching heat of the sun just to provide us with the products of their sweat and blood. This problem is exacerbated by the rampant inequality in the Philippines, especially in places with powerful hacienda owners, which was very evident in the Family and Income Expenditure Survey, or FIES, for the year 1990, where 45.17% belonged to income class 4, 28.21% to income class 3, 16.23% to income class number 2, 10.39% of households belong to income class number 1. How apparent the income inequality? In a country constituted by a peasant majority, programs for agrarian reform are the cornerstone of every administration, serving landless farmers, the poorest of the poor. As such, in the year 1988, the Philippine government under former President Corazon Aquino launched the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, mandated through the signing of the Republic Act 6657. Primarily, the program's purpose was to enhance the dignity and self-worth of the land reform beneficiaries, improve the economic and social status of farmers and farm workers, and increase development and productivity of agricultural lands in rural areas through its main agenda of land reacquisition and redistribution.
And so today I should like to reiterate that the Tarlac Development Corporation, the owner of Hacienda Luisita, expresses its readiness to place the hacienda, which has a total area of 6,100 hectares and is under cultivation by about 7,000 farm workers, under the operation of the Carp.
And now, nearly 25 years after its conception and institution, can we say that Carp has succeeded in helping our landless farmers, particularly in Region 3, becoming more economically productive and mobile? According to Saulo Adriano, about 1.2 million hectares of land were distributed from the years 1987 to 1990 under the Carp. In terms of percentage of distribution, government-owned lands had the largest percentage of accomplishment, with 102.4%, while privately owned agricultural lands had the lowest, with only 0.8%. The land distribution was slowly improving, from 3.2% of accomplishment during the pre-Carp period to 13.8% during the Carp period. However, during 1991, there were corporations that applied for corporate stock distribution instead of land distribution. To determine the probability of a household shifting from one class to another, we use the Markov analysis, a common quantitative technique used to predict the occurrence of an event given current probabilities. The Markov analysis has 4 assumptions, and we will present these assumptions as we go along. For the first assumption, the Markov analysis assumes that there is a limited number of states. In this case, we have 4 states, being in any of the 4 income classes. The first step in the Markov analysis is for us to look for an initial state. In this case, our initial time period is at year 1990, where we simply look at the profiles of households during this period. We see that 352 out of the 3,389 households in the sample is found in Class 1. Hence, the first initial state probability is 10.39%. We do this for other classes and find the following initial state. One crucial step of the Markov analysis is the computation of the transition probabilities PAB, or the probability that a household currently in income bracket A will transfer to bracket B. So, if we've got P32 equals 10, it simply means that for the average Class 3 home, there is a 10% chance of going up to Class 2 the following period. These probabilities will comprise our matrix of transition probabilities that creates a general picture of mobility among households in different classes that we assume is due to the implementation of Carp. Markov analysis assumes, number 2, that this matrix is going to be constant, and number 3, that the size and makeup of the system do not change during the analysis, which supports its last assumption that number 4, we can predict any future state given an initial state and the matrix of transition probabilities. The matrix is used to compute for the state probabilities for year 1993, or pi T1, where T1 is equal to year 3 and T is equal to year 1990. Using the formula pi T1 is equal to pi T times P, which is the matrix of transition probabilities, we find that pi 1993 is equal to pi 1990 times P. From 1990 to 1993, Class 1 household increases from 0.1039 to 0.1998 and so on, according to pi 1993 is equal to 0.1998, 0.1995, 0.3007, and 0.3. Since Region 3 contains the largest plains and agricultural lands in the Philippines, it will be assumed that all households in the sample of FIES are associated with agriculture and will hence be directly or indirectly affected by the Carp economically. Given the initial state and transition probabilities, we can use these to predict 2006 values and compare it with actual 2006 data to test the accuracy of Markov prediction. To predict the state probabilities of 2006, the following formula may be used. Pi n plus 1 is equal to pi 1 times p raised to n. However, computing this manually is arduous, so XLQM becomes a more feasible approach to solving the problem. We simply input the initial state and matrix of transition probabilities, and we get iterations of the different state probabilities per year leading up to year 2006. Apparently, by the end of period 4 or year 1999, ending state probabilities no longer change significantly afterwards. This is what we call the steady state. It is safely presumed then that the state probabilities at 2006 will follow the steady state. Now, if we compare this prediction with the actual data, it is tiny and insignificant. Hence, we can say that Markov analysis has strong predicting capacity. With regards to methodology, Markov analysis has proved itself useful in determining the economic mobility of households in Region 3. According to the results of the computations, the matrix of transition probabilities is reliable and accurate in determining future probabilities with minimal divergence from the true values. However, care must be taken in generalizing this result as these predictions are made under strict assumptions, such as fixed transition probabilities throughout time, taking no account of exogenous occurrences. Now, how can we ensure that economic mobility of households is sustained through Carp and avoid reaching the steady state period? As shown earlier, we have made an accurate prediction as to when steady state condition will occur within the period of Carp implementation. We can use these techniques to find out when the policy will reach its steady state or when the policy is already maxed out, so that policymakers can prepare for the impending steady state. So when that time comes, we are ready to implement improvements in the mechanisms and ensure continuous economic mobility. Furthermore, considering proper research and development and adaptation of technological innovation will ensure the persistent success of Carp. To make Carp even more efficient, policymakers should also learn how to overcome obstacles by means of reducing graft and corruption, building a political will for continuity of projects and better implementation across administrations. So, just to answer the question posed at the beginning of this video, was Carp successful? Given the results of the computation of matrix of transition probabilities, households stand a chance to move to higher income brackets with figures standing at 69.57%, 39.75%, and 18.36% probability of shifting to a higher income bracket for a household currently in Class 4, Class 3, and Class 2, respectively. Well, let's just ask Farmer Bard.